2 years ago, the then mayor of Stockton, California, had an idea to test something like a universal basic income in his city by providing 125 residents an additional $500 a month for 24 months, for 2 years. No strings attached, no work requirements, no one-time checks, just send people the money every month for 2 years. So here's what happened. People who received the money were twice as likely to find full employment than those who did not. They showed lower rates of anxiety and depression, and the vast majority of the money was spent on food, retail, utilities, and car payments. Less than 1% went to tobacco and alcohol. Joining me now is the man behind that plan, former mayor of Stockton, California, Michael Tubbs. He's out today with new findings from that 2-year experiment. Mr. Mayor, it is so interesting. First off, just tell me who qualified to get that $500 a month?
The qualifications were simple. You just had to live in a zip code at or below the city's median income for a household of $46,000. Which means that there's folks in the program that made more than $46,000 and folks who made less than $46,000. And the idea was to show how this policy helps everyone, that everyone could stand to benefit. And it seems very prescient, particularly given what we've seen recently with the economic fallout of COVID-19.
One of the, I guess if you were just looking at this at face value, one of the surprising outcomes was that unemployment went down. Full employment went up among those who were getting that extra money. There might have been some out there who thought, well, people are getting extra money, they're not going to work as much. They won't need to. Why was it the case that they gained more employment?
Well, first, let's scream that from the mountaintops. I've spent the last 2 years arguing with people about how $500 is not enough to replace work, and the vast majority of people who can work do work. And what we see in the basic income findings is this notion that $500 was enough for people to pay for reliable transportation, to make car fixes, to pay for child care, to take time off from the part-time jobs they pieced together to interview for a full-time job. Because I didn't realize till this program that so many people are trapped in low-wage work or part-time jobs because they're living paycheck to paycheck. And to take time off of work to interview for another job that's not a guarantee is tantamount to losing money. So the $500 allowed people to be entrepreneurial and bet on themselves. So I'm so excited for those findings. And I don't want to have a single argument again about people not wanting to work.
Can we sit on that for a moment? Because that is such a salient point. The idea that when you were given extra money and not told how you can spend it, not told you can only spend it on this or only spend it on that, not told, and you can spend it on the things that you actually need. Talk to me about the ways in which people find themselves trapped in this cycle of poverty or trapped in a job that doesn't frankly pay enough.
Well, poverty compounds. That poverty is so incredibly expensive because once you're behind on bills, you get penalty. That once you go to a check cashing place, you owe more money. Once an emergency happens, you're even further behind. And that's why the guaranteed income makes so much sense, particularly today, because we're talking about providing people a financial floor, an income floor, a financial vaccine, if you will. And what we know for folks, particularly folks who are working themselves literally to death with elevated levels of stress and anxiety, is that the issue isn't their ingenuity, the issue isn't their effort, the issue is that we have an economy where the richest among us got even richer at a time when essential workers are risking COVID and illness and death to make poverty wages. And it's ridiculous, Katie, when we're having a conversation about whether we should raise the minimum wage to $15. So again, a guaranteed income is not a panacea for everything, but it is a powerful tool. And I'm just on fire because the data shows what we believe to be true beforehand, that if you give people an opportunity, they respond in ways that you and I would respond.
So one other part of this study really stuck with me. I'm pregnant. I've got an almost 2-year-old, and I know what it's like to be super stressed out and to not want to take that out on my kid. Here's what the report says. Parents articulated newfound time and ability to engage with their children in small but normal rites of passage that generated dignity and quality of life. watching TV with my kids instead of yelling. I can breathe and do homework with them. Take your kids to the movies. Be able to say yes to the ice cream instead of no. My kids have always heard no. It makes me want to cry, the idea that people wouldn't have the ability to do those basic things with their kids, and that this extra money help them be human, help them just have quality time with their families.
And congratulations. My wife is expecting in a couple of months as well, and we have a 15-month-old. One of the biggest things I realized, particularly during this pilot, is that government at its best should allow parents to be parents. And the fact that something as small as $500 makes a difference between reading to your kids or not, between being stressed and anxious and showing up. And you hit it right on the head. Like, we keep talking about dignity attached to work, but the issue is that we have to attach dignity to humanity. And the income floor allows people to be human. We are not put on this earth to work all the time, and that's it. We're put on this earth to be in relationship with our peers, with our partners, and with our children. And the most important job in society is the job of parent. And a guaranteed income sort of also pays for that unpaid labor that mostly women do in terms of caregiving and child rearing. So I think it's exciting for people in the pilot, but also depressing that we don't have that writ large for the nation, because there's so many parents who want to do these things with their kids but can't because they're working and working and working and still falling further and further behind.
You know, it helps the kids to have the parents spend time with the kids. And before you start saying, well, don't have kids if you can't afford them, the replacement rate in this country for population is on the decline. And if you want your seniors, or when you are a senior, to have Social Security and all the benefits that you work toward paid for, you kind of need to make sure the population stays at the same rate. Former Mayor of Stockton, California, Michael Tubbs, thank you so much. And just for your information out there, everybody, Gary, Indiana is trying this next.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.